Hey, welcome everyone to a review of the Sony WH-CH710N wireless over-the-ear noise-canceling headphones. For the rest of this video, I'll simply refer to them as the 710, just for simplicity. And if you want to see the written version of this review, you can find a link to my website in the video description. So first and foremost, we'll start off with the price. In Canada, it's priced at $249, and the US is priced at $149. For connectivity, it does support a wireless and wired connection. The wired connection supports a 3.5mm headphone jack connection with the port located on the bottom of the left ear cup, and the auxiliary cable itself is measuring in at 47 inches. Wireless connection is supported using Bluetooth 5.0, and Sony advertises a range of about 30 feet. However, in my testing, I was able to get about 45 feet with one wall in between my device that I'm connected to and to the 710 headphones, so much better than Sony's claim of range. There's also an NFC chip built into the left ear cup, so simply tapping an NFC device allows for very quick Bluetooth pairing. So according to official Sony documentation on their website, this supports multi-point connect. What that basically means is that it allows you to connect to two devices at the same time. So a great example would be to, let's say, have one connection is to my desktop and I'm listening to music, and the second connection at the same time to my cell phone. If my cell phone were to just suddenly ring, it should pause the music on my desktop computer and allow me to answer the call quickly without any fuss. Except that's wrong. Even though it says it supports multi-point connect, it doesn't. You can only connect it to one device at a time. And I tried various combinations to get around this. The funny thing is, despite the Sony official website being wrong, the Amazon product page website is correct in stating it does not support multi-point connect. So Sony documentation is incorrect on that regard. And that is a pretty big bummer given the price tag. That's a feature you find on cheaper headphones as well. However, when it comes to devices that can be kept in memory, what that basically means is how many devices you can store in memory. So every time you want to switch from one device to another, you don't have to repair Bluetooth mode all over again. You can just simply hit connect and it'll switch to that device. In my testing, I was able to get up to 4 devices in memory, which is pretty adequate for most people. Sony documentation claims you can get up to 8 devices, which is plenty. Now, there is another bummer with this price tag, aside from the multi-point feature being missing, is lack of accessories. In the box, you get a USB-A to USB-C charging cable. That cable is measuring about 7 inches, and Sony expects you to charge it connecting directly into a computer or to a power adapter outlet of your own. But there's no traveler's case included. Not a hard traveler's case, not a soft traveler's case, nothing. You get a charging cable and that's it. At this price point, that is a big letdown. When it comes to its physical design and how it looks, they're just plain and simple. They're not horrible, they're just, meh. They're okay. As most include it being constructed as very simple looking plastic. There's no refined edges or anything outstanding or unique about them, which just makes it kind of look mediocre, but again, not bad. And in regards to attraction and uniqueness, it only comes in black color. There's no other color options available. As I just mentioned, the body is mainly constructed of simple plastic. However, the swivel bar is a metal slider for the headband extension. The strange thing about these headphones is that they weigh about 223 grams, which is kind of the weight range for more premium headphones with almost double the price tag, except they don't feel that heavy in the hand. It's probably because the plastic just feels so simple, and plain. I just kind of get the illusion that it's lighter than it actually is. Although don't let the simple plastic fool you. It doesn't feel like, if you drop it a couple times, it's gonna break. I don't have that concern with this. It can be kind of stretched and bent in various odd ways and still feels pretty firm in the hands. I think thanks to that is that the ear cups do not fold in for more portability in traveling. But that's a good thing, because if they were to fold in, that usually means a weaker body in the frame. Now, there's no information if these are dust and water resistant, so my advice is don't try to get them too dirty, and especially do not get them wet, or you might risk damaging the unit. And in that regard, there's no official replacement ear cups from Sony, so if you get the ear cups damaged or torn, you might be out of luck unless you can get third-party ones, and then you got to replace them on your own. Now, when it comes to comfort, in my testing, I've worn them for 4 hours straight at different sessions, multiple sessions, sometimes 3 hours, multiple 4-hour sessions. Very comfortable. They feel very lightweight on the head, again, despite the heavier weight. They feel, just probably because the flex isn't too tight, it's very comfortable. Feels phenomenal. My ears never get sweaty or hot. For anyone who's interested, if you want to work out in them, if you want to do cardio sessions like running or elliptical, yeah, they'll feel fine. They won't move around anywhere. If you're someone who wants to do, say, multiple sets of dumbbell rows where you're having to kind of keep looking down and shifting up a little bit during your sets. They will slide forward ever so slightly, but nothing too concerning. Although I don't recommend them for workout sessions because they're over-the-ear headphones. Your ears will get very hot and sweaty during your intense workout sessions, of course. There's a couple of key components to helping with the comfort level. One is that the ear cushions are thick and soft. They're very much a pleasure on the head. And the interior headband cushioning is thin, I will admit that much. However, if you have next to no hair or no hair at all, there shouldn't be a bother because there's still some padding, which is adequate amount. The headband extension, when extending it or decreasing the size, is done in notches. It's not just a smooth slider. And the ear cups can rotate up, down, forward, and back to accommodate most head shapes. Now, if you're traveling and say waiting at an airport, train station, bus station, whatever it may be, you want to rest them on your neck, when it comes to looking left and right, it's not too bad. It just barely grazes against my chin, but if your neck is, shorter, of course, that might be a bit of a annoyance. When it comes to looking down, again, it rubs against my cheeks, but nothing too bothersome. I can look down. If you turn the ear cups in, looking left to right, super easy. Looking down is even easier, although depending on the thickness of your neck, and they might kind of rub into your neck, the ear cups themselves, but overall it just seems okay in this manner. Switching over to controls, on the left ear cup there's a power button for on-off. Also, holding the same button will allow for Bluetooth sync mode. Now, switching over to the bottom of the right ear cup, that's where majority of the controls are. The top button of the three that are set together, the top one will go volume up, the bottom will lower volume. The middle button has majority of the controls on its own because if you tap it, it'll simply play pause music or answer or hang up a call. Double tapping it will go to the next track. Triple tapping it will go to the previous track. Now, if the headphones are connected to your smartphone, pressing and holding the middle button for about 2 seconds will activate the smart assistant. It depends on whether you're using Android or an iOS device. It'll kick in Google Assistant or Siri. And my testing, I use Google Assistant. It works just fine. But here's the problem is why is there so many functionalities centralized into a single middle button control? Why can't I have it more simplified like other Sony headphones? So for example, pressing and holding volume up will go to the next track. Pressing and holding volume down will go to the previous track. Having too many controls on a single button can be annoying and confusing, but continuing on with the right ear cup, the button near the bottom front is for controlling how noise isolation works. What that basically means is that one mode is for ANC, active noise cancelling, which I'll discuss later on, all these modes in more detail soon. But active noise cancelling is, as you implied, technology kicks in to try to suppress exterior noise so you're more in tune with what you're listening to in a quiet environment. The next mode is ambient mode, which forces the microphones on the headphones to turn on and project exterior noise into your headphones so you can hear your surroundings easily. And the last mode is just simply regular headphone mode. It turns off all additional technology. You're just using the plain old simple headphones. So that one button will allow you to cycle through the 3 modes and use which one is appropriate to your comfort. Now, at this mid-tier pricing, it's not truly an expected feature, but more of a nice to have, is passive play pause mode, which is not available. What that passive play pause mode basically means that you're listening to your media content while the headphones are on. When you take them off, they'll automatically pause the content on your computer or cell phone. When you put them back on, the headphones will automatically kick in resume mode and it'll play your music or movie automatically again for you. That's not available on these headphones. Again, not truly expected at this mid-tier price point, but just something I wanted to mention. Okay, so we're going to talk about noise cancelling mode, and we're going to start with ANC mode first. And I'm going to break down ANC as if you were talking about music, because I think it's just easier to describe. So when it comes to lows, so really low humming noises, let's say the dishwasher running in the kitchen, it's churning water and you can hear it easily, but when you turn ANC mode on, it'll suppress that noise out quite a bit actually. It does a pretty good job. When it comes to mid-tier noises, if you were say to talk about vocals, so maybe people are having a conversation 5 feet away from you, heck, even 10 feet away from you, you can kind of hear some muffles coming through rather easily. It doesn't really do a good of a job suppressing that noise. When it comes to high-pitched noises, this is where things get even worse. You can hear almost everything come through. In fact, in some odd cases, for some reason, the volume amps up. It just the headphones get confused and it forces the high-pitched noises to come through louder than they should. Just using regular headphone mode, so just putting them on your ears, and the cushioning, because it's in over-the-ear headphones, will suppress a lot of those noise at the same level. So mids and high-level noises. When it comes to ambient mode, which again, forces the microphones to turn on and force exterior noise to go into the headphones so you can hear people around you, If someone's within 5 feet or 10 feet, I would say maximum, having a conversation with you, you can kind of make out what they're saying. It's a little muffled, not the best experience, but you just barely make out what they're saying. Anything beyond 10 feet is just kind of muffled noise that's just a bit louder than usual. Okay, so when it comes to the battery, Sony claims that it'll last about 35 hours with ANC mode on. In my testing, I was able to blow it away with 58 hours of usage, which is pretty nuts. With ambient mode on, I was able to average close to 53 hours, which is still very impressive. When it comes to regular headphone mode, I got about 55 hours, which is still great, but I find that kind of weird because with regular headphone mode, ambient mode and ANC mode is off, so there's less technology being used. Typically, headphones should last longer. In this case, it didn't. It still averaged close to having ANC mode on or ambient mode on. Not a big deal, but just something I want to mention that I found kind of strange. One thing to keep in mind is that when the headphones are charging, you cannot use them. Although, to be honest, considering how long the battery lasts, you're not going to charge them that often, so I don't think that's too much of a bummer. And as for charging, the charging port itself is located on the bottom of the left ear cup, and it is a USB-C port. So when it comes to recharging, get this, I had to check this several times to make sure I was reading it right. Sony claims it takes 7 hours to recharge these headphones. I'm not kidding. In my testing, I was able to get much less time. 5 hours, which is still not that good. Although, hear me out, 1 hour of recharging will give you almost 10 hours of usage in return, which honestly the trade-off is pretty good. And again, as I mentioned, you're probably not going to charge them that often because the battery is just great. Okay, so I'm going to go through various microphone samples and you can kind of see for yourself what you think about the microphone. So right now I'm in a quiet environment. You're hearing everything through the 710 headphones. What I'm going to do is switch over to a noisy environment and activate my camera microphone to let you know how noisy it really is. Switch over to the 710 microphone to see how much exterior noise it can cancel. So if you're on a phone call, it'd make your conversation annoying for the person to hear or not. And then we'll finally end off with a quick wind test. Okay, so everything you hear right now is through the camera microphone. As you can tell, it's pretty noisy in here, not that good. Switching over to the 710 microphone, you can make a call for yourself what you think about the noise isolation. I'm just gonna stop talking for a quick second. Okay, now I'm doing a wind test with the fan sitting about 5 feet away from me, as if I was simulating a windy environment. So let's talk about audio quality. It's a bit of a mixed bag here. Some good and not so great. So out of the box with the flat profile, it's just subpar. You can tell that there's a bit more emphasis on bass from Sony compared to mids and highs. Nothing that'll ruin the song for someone who's not a major bass enthusiast like I am, but you will notice a slight more punch, so just something to keep in mind. Mids and highs are a little flat for this price point. At mid-tier pricing headphones, I expect a little bit more quality. They're a little bit flatter than they should be. Now, there's no official equalizer from Sony available for these. You gotta use a third-party app on your computer or your smartphone, unfortunately. When you do use a third-party equalizer, I noticed that when increasing the bass, man, it can throw out a ton of lows at you. It has a big boom to it. Even at higher volume, it does not get distorted, so bass performance can get really good. Highs can also excel. It can get some really sharp, crisp sound, depending on how much you adjust the highs, but it can sound pretty darn good. Vocals, yes, you can get better performance out of them if you really want to, if you really wish to, except they feel kind of isolated. It's hard to explain. As you increase mids even further up in an equalizer, they kind of leave bass and highs too far back. The other problem is at this mid-tier price point, you're forced to download a third-party equalizer app. I know I might be nitpicking on this, but the fact that at this price point, some competing headphones, even at cheaper price points, come with an official supported equalizer app for the manufacturer's headphones, but Sony kind of ignored it for these headphones. They are not supported by the Headphone Connect app, which is a big bummer. And when it comes to codec support, I just want to quickly mention that they do support SBC and AAC. And now discussing the software, you kind of know what the answer is. I already kind of said it. There's no official supported software for these headphones, which again, at this price point, is rather disappointing and unexpected from Sony. Expected better from them. In my opinion, the biggest bummer here is no firmware updates. What you get out of the box, that's it. You're stuck with it, and there's no upgrades available. I think these headphones could have had a lot of potential. They're mid-tier pricing, but they just have all these shortcomings that are just bizarre to me. It's like Sony wanted to make this a rush product to get it out to market, but they kind of dropped the ball with some things that are considered somewhat basic at this price point. The thing to mention here is that they're not horrible, it's just they don't seem worth the price. But for now, you're probably best to save your money unless you find them on sale because they've been out for so long. Honestly, sometimes you can find them off for like 30 to 50% off. I kid you not. So with that said, that's the end of my review. If you found this video useful, be sure to check out my social links and website link in the video description. Hit the like button, it does help. Subscribe, and thanks for watching.